Thanks for joining us for This Week in Jacksonville Business Edition. I'm really excited about this. A little different than usual, but we're joined by a CEO today, Lieutenant General retired Walt Piatt. So Chief Executive Officer, Wounded Warrior Project. So many people know, hey, headquartered here in Jacksonville, but this national reach for your nonprofit. And you just, do I say it right? You just assumed command earlier this year, right?
Well, it's been a little over a year, almost a year and a half. So
Okay.
March of 2024 is when I came aboard.
Yeah. Boy, time flies then. That's what I'm thinking about, because how have we not met until right now? And I've been excited about this because the mission of Wounded Warrior Project and the accomplishments, being able to meet these soldiers where they are and their families and take care of them in service. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about the organization, what you're doing, and maybe even how things have changed in this year and a half that you've been CEO.
Well, the organization is very sad. It started 21 years ago when a wounded warrior himself, saw casualties being evacuated to Walter Reed from the wars. And he knew what it felt like, because he was once in that bed, and you wake up away from your team, alone, you don't have your purpose anymore, and you got an embarrassing hospital gown on. So he knew, he stuffed some backpacks, went to the hospital, gave him something to wear, a sweatshirt, some shorts. But he also made a promise. He made a promise that we would be there for those warriors no matter what. And for 21 years, that's what we do. That's really what we've ground ourselves on every day. Keep the promise to be there for our warriors no matter what, and to bring them all home. Because for a warrior, it shouldn't be harder to come home from war than it is to go to war. But it is. And we've learned so much more that just because you're back doesn't mean you're ready to deal with the pressures of society, dealing with the things that you may have done in the course of your military service. That's a really tough mental journey, and you need help doing it. And that's what we specialize in now. We have grown to now offering 18 different programs. All our programs remain free. We remain 100% donor funded, so we're able to provide the needs of the warrior. And as we find different needs, we expand to fill those needs and keep that promise.
How does this connect with your experience in the military? I was just reading this a moment ago. I said, wow, 42 years in our military. So obviously, you've got a lot of experience. How does that apply to the mission of Wounded Warrior Project?
Well, after 42 years in the military, I wasn't looking for a job, and this is not a job. I feel like I came home to family, and I get to give back to the men and women that do so much for our country, because I saw firsthand what they do. I mean, our nation wouldn't be what it is. Jacksonville wouldn't be the beautiful city it is. We didn't have the United States military out defending our freedoms all the time. So I want them to come home and get reintegrated in society. I know what they've been through. And to me, it's a mission, it's a passion to bring every warrior home, because they deserve to live in the society that they help defend.
With that length of service and rising to the rank that you were there times when you were involved in combat or had soldiers who were wounded in your command, all of that sort of thing?
Yeah, sadly, too many times. After 9/11, I was in the 10th Mountain Division in New York on that day. Soon we would be deployed to Afghanistan via Uzbekistan, and then after that, I was deployed probably every other year for the first decade of the war, and then I went back to Iraq in as late as 2018 as a division commander. So lots of deployments. I've seen firsthand that war, it's the absolute worst of humanity, absolute worst. I mean, you think about it, the intentional killing of other human beings. But it's necessary because the alternative is out of the question. We're not going to surrender our freedoms and liberty. But the strategic purpose of war should not mask the toll it takes on the young men and women that has to fight it. We need to be there to help them deal with that, because they're dealing with having seen the worst of humanity, having seen horrible things, and help bring them home, help them deal with either the physical injuries and wounds of it or the mental injuries and wounds that they suffer from.
Well, I think that's the compelling part and we know Jacksonville, the surrounding area, Northeast Florida, so many people are saying, yes, if there's a philanthropic effort, I'm getting behind it any way I can. Certainly, I think that's the compelling component for people who hear about Wounded Warrior Project and say, I want to make sure those who served are treated as VIPs in every possible way, including helping them kind of, if it's the right phrase, get back on their feet from some of the stuff that they've gone through on our behalf. So you talked about Wounded Warrior Project started with backpacks and doing a lot more now. What is Wounded Warrior Project working on now? What are maybe new initiatives or recent things that happen?
Well, one of our largest portfolios is our accelerated brain health treatment. So we know that there's a lot of mental injuries and illnesses that have come from this war through post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury, other anxiety, addiction issues that warriors are. We've got a big effort through our Warrior Care Network to do research and treatment of PTSD, to find the right treatment. How can we do it faster? Therefore, the word accelerated. So we have found, in-person treatments and virtual treatments that we can do in 2 weeks that are relieving warriors of these symptoms and helping them reintegrate back into society. A warrior should never be considered, a veteran should never be seen as a threat to society or a burden. They should be back in leading and helping be reintegrated in society and helping lead that society. That's what's in their hearts to do. So that program is one of our good ones. We have a lot of other ones that deal with mental resiliency, which is really good. We have a lot of physical health and wellness programs that get warriors back active, because a lot of them, when they get out, they're impacted. They want to isolate. They don't feel comfortable being in public. They don't feel comfortable being around people. They may not even feel comfortable being around their own family, sadly enough. So they might just be in the basement, maybe playing video games. We want to get them off the couch, outside, reconnected with other warriors, and get them moving. And I say the path to truly healing begins with movement. So we do a program called Soldier Ride. We actually do one here in Soldier Ride, Jacksonville, which is really great. It's just bicycle ride focused around cycling. We have adaptive cycles, so for folks who need that. But it's just to get them moving. It's really not the physical challenge of riding a bicycle. It's about the connection of being back with people that understand you. And then you get to see what a grateful nation looks like. People appreciate you and they come out and want to ride with you, or they clap for you on the side of the roads. And that is so therapeutic to a warrior, to have the appreciation of a grateful nation.
Well, is there a connection between those efforts and getting into the workforce? I've heard, I didn't experience, I'm not a veteran, but I've heard veterans trying to make that transition to the civilian workplace can be really difficult.
It can be. It's hard. Transition is a very difficult time, and it's a dangerous time. If you don't get help and assistance at that point, sadly, you could really fall into some really difficult situations with yourself. We have one that helps them just transition out of the military, help you with your VA claim and your disability benefits, and then help you do financial management, help you do Warriors to Work programs. We help you with job placement. We attend a lot of the work summits around here, so we can get in work fairs, so we can tell warriors how to do it. It's not so much of finding a job, it's getting you ready to hold a job. To be able to do a resume, to understand how you've got to treat, how you translate your military skills into a civilian resume, those simple things, but also just mentally, to be reintegrated back in society and be prepared to hold down a position.
Well, even talking about the resume, my military friends seem to speak in a different language sometimes. Lots of acronyms. But I know that the experience that our friends who are veterans have had in serving, they've learned jobs that do translate. It's a matter of helping other people or the civilian world understand what that is.
It is. Well, of course, if you spend 42 years and you build up the acronyms, so just my resume was a lot of fun to fill out too. But they do have special skills, and I think when we really highlight their leadership skills, their ability to solve problems, it's what they do, and it really doesn't translate well into certain positions, but we teach them how that really is. And I think a lot of people, employees, they really appreciate that. So hiring veterans is always a good thing because they're problem solvers, and they deal with very difficult situations, and they can lead. That's what really makes them attractable, but we got to make sure that stability-wise, mentally-wise, they're ready for this to make that transition.
Yeah, I've got a note here. Tell me about Carry Forward and what it is. And I know it's important to have people supporting what your efforts
It's great.
are.
It comes down to people, it's like a 5-kilometer run, but it's so much more. We call it Carry Forward to honor what veterans have carried for our nation, the burden that they have carried so we can be free. We do 4 big cities, and Jacksonville's our last one every year. We do it November 8th this year, Saturday. So everybody shows up, and they either carry a flag, or they carry weights on their shoulders, or they actually carry another warrior.
Wow.
That shows our logo, the fireman's carry, and then you get families to come out and just walk and just show their appreciation for veterans. It's a lot of fun. We don't time it. We don't give you a chip. It's just go and enjoy. And I love it because I get to talk to people and hear their stories and who they're caring forward. And I just did one in Nashville, and I met a couple spouses that came out to run to honor their husbands who served all this time and sadly are no longer with us. But they want to keep that alive, and they feel connected when they're back in an environment like this. And last year, the mayor joined us. She ran with us with her husband, and I I kind of asked her to do it because I said, if I'm going to run a Donna marathon, I really want you to come run a 5K with us.
That's
She did.
Right.
It was great, but it's the whole town of Jacksonville. Like you said, this is a military town, and they appreciate military service. And for Carry Forward, this is a way to come together and show that appreciation.
Yeah. So if somebody can't be there in person, how do they show that appreciation, or how do they contribute?
Yeah, they can donate to us, but if you just go to our website, woundedwarrior.project.org, you can get to it, and it has a place to navigate you to Carry Forward. You can donate. We have teams that raise money, and then we have prizes that we hand out for those who raise a lot of money. And but it's really just a good way to come out and just honor and have a good day with the community of Jacksonville.
Yeah, one of the things I've really enjoyed in my 15 years here is the veteran and associated communities that are here in Northeast Florida, Southeast Georgia too. It's tight and yet it's welcoming, which wasn't what I expected. And even though I haven't served, I've had so many veterans like, hey, you're saying thank you, you're supporting us in what we're doing. That makes a difference for someone who served, doesn't it?
Oh, it makes all the difference in the world. For the longest time, I had a hard time accepting that. I was deploying, coming back, and thinking, I'm just doing my job, and people were thanking me in the airport, buying me a cup of coffee. But I learned to look them back in the eye and say, you're worth it. This country's worth it. And that's what it means so much to us, because it's not about, some idea. It's about real people that we know about, small towns and communities we come from. And some small part, when you serve, you can come back and you can take it all in and say, our country's is like it is in some small way because of my service and because of the service of others. So it is the connection. It's not like you got to be in the military to get along with. We love this nation, and we love the people in this nation, and we love the fact that they're grateful. But thanking a veteran for their service is very powerful, and thank you for doing it.
Yeah, thank you for the time. And I love that I got to meet General Walt Piatt today, the CEO of Wounded Warrior Project. Thank you so much for your time, and best success on Carry Forward and everything else that WWP is doing.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and thank you for watching or listening to our podcast This Week in Jacksonville Business Edition. Wherever you find it, usually comes out Thursday mornings at 9. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow.